Good evening. Welcome back to the study of the Psalms. And I want us to spend some time tonight with Psalm 93 for a couple reasons. It finishes up our first week of looking at Book 3, but it also introduces a whole series of Psalms that runs from 93 to 99 that have a single overarching theme. God reigns, Adonai Malak, the Lord is King. And the second reason I want to emphasize that is because I think we are in a season, particularly here in the United States, where we desperately need to remember that the Lord is King. And it is to his rule that we owe our ultimate allegiance and loyalty, and that all other loyalties are secondary to that. And we also need to remember what kind of king this is that we serve, and to remember that it is in him that our security is found. This first week focused a lot on the people of God coming out of exile back in the land, living in a time of great uncertainty about what their future would look like. And these Psalms speak into that situation of insecurity with a message, a consistent message that the assurance of our hope and our security, our safety, our protection is in King Yahweh. So I think that's a message that's very timely for the church in a lot of places in the world, but particularly for the church here in the United States, as we have all the uncertainties of the particular season that our nation finds itself in. So what I want us to do tonight is something called Midrash. It's a Jewish way of reading scripture. And it's actually the way John Wesley read scripture. His sermons are in many ways midrashes on scripture. And what it is, it's simply walking through the passage line by line with commentary. And so that's what we're going to do very briefly tonight with Psalm 93. The majesty of God's rule is the heading of this psalm in the NRSV that I'm using. So let's dig into Psalm 93. The Lord is King. He is robed in majesty. The Lord is robed. He is girded with strength. The Lord is pictured as being clothed with all the trappings of glory and honor that a king wears. Majesty, high and exalted, and with strength. It is the Lord's strength that is on display here, not human strength. Second half of verse 1, He has established the world, it shall never be moved. It is God who sets creation and reality and the world into its place. And the psalmist says, it shall never be moved, because the hand of God is still upon it. So despite all the shakiness, despite all the turmoil, despite all the turbulence, this is a picture of solidity and security and rootedness. Verse 2. Notice now that the psalmist moves from talking about Yahweh the King to talking directly to him. Your throne is established from of old. You are from everlasting. As far back as human history can reach and beyond, and as far forward as we can imagine, beyond our day into the distant future, Yahweh reigns. Adonai Malak. There is no part of human history, including our part, that is outside the scope of the Lord's kingship. Verse 3, the floods have lifted up, O Lord. The floods have lifted up their voice. The floods lift up their roaring. 3 times we hear that word, the floods, and it evokes image of chaos and things being out of control and the potential for disaster. If you saw the pictures of the recent floods in Kenya, you realize how destructive those forces of nature can be. And there's a picture of them lifting up, rising. So there's this sense of chaos threatening and coming to the fore. And yet, there's a pause at the end of this verse where all the floods do is lift up. They don't actually threaten us. The floods have lifted up, they've lifted up their voice, they've lifted up their roaring, however loud the chaos is, however angry the storms are. Go to verse 4. More majestic than the thunders of mighty waters, all that roaring. More majestic than the waves of the sea, all that forceful posturing. Majestic on high is the Lord. So however loud the chaos is, however strong the turbulence is, it is minimized by recognizing the presence and the majesty and the reign of God himself. And finally, verse 5, again, speaking directly to the Lord, to the King, your decrees are very sure. Holiness befits your house, O Lord, forevermore. Not just certainty, not just assurance, but great certainty and great assurance is found in the reign of our God. And notice this last bit, don't skip over it. Holiness befits your house, O Lord, forevermore. The house or the household of God is the people of God. And notice that the concern here is for the holiness, the capacity of God's people to reflect God's character. And I just want to call us, sisters, in this season of turbulence, when there's so many voices luring us to unholy behavior and unholy attitudes and unholy words, let us remember our God reigns, and the holiness that we offer him is our acceptable act of worship in these seasons of chaos and turbulence. Doesn't matter what the waves are, it doesn't matter what the raging storms are. Just remember this opening affirmation, the Lord is King, Adonai Malak. And let that be your anchor and your solid center in this season. God bless you.